When I first started changing how I eat and started being more intentional about the foods that I was picking up, grocery shopping was one of those things that really stressed me out. There was so many different selections of one thing that I didn't really know which one to pick up. Then it was like this whole ordeal of, do I get organic? Do I not get organic? So one thing I just started to do was just get everything organic and then run up my grocery bill and spending much more time in the grocery store and spending much more money that I wanted in the grocery store. So if the overwhelming part of grocery shopping is also something that you have been experiencing, in today's video, I am walking you through a step-by-step process on how I've simplified grocery shopping and finally made the entire process easy. The first thing may sound crazy, but honestly, it is tremendously helpful and has saved me so much time. Honestly, more so much money. And it is planning your meals ahead of time. You don't have to plan out all your meals ahead of time. I surely don't. I just more so have a sense of the type of meals that I want to have or the type of food that I want to have and making sure that I at least have those main ingredients. This is something that was really beneficial once I started doing, because when I was first grocery shopping, I wouldn't go in with any type of plan. I would legit just go in, find whatever either was on sale, something that looked appealing or something like I was like, oh, this will be cool to try. And then I would just add a whole bunch of things to my grocery cart without any idea of what I was planning on doing with it. But two major issues that I ran into was either one, since I didn't have a plan on what I was doing with it, when I bought it home, it would just literally sit on the table, and then over time it would then spoil, and then I couldn't use it, and then I wasted my money. Another thing that would happen was I would find something to make with it, but because I didn't plan ahead of what I was going to make with it or things that I would need for that recipe, I would then have to possibly go to the grocery store to then pick up more items to then make that recipe. And either I didn't have enough time to go to the grocery store, I didn't want to pay for those ingredients because they were probably out of the range that I wanted to spend, or by the time that I went to the grocery store to get those items to make that recipe, the item that I bought originally has then spoiled, and then therefore I've wasted money again. So one thing that I've just started doing is have an idea of like two different types of recipes or two different types of meals that I can make using that item. And then also having a limit on how much produce I buy at one particular time. So one thing that I started doing as well was minimizing how much fresh produce I buy and then getting a lot more frozen. I wasn't someone who really got a lot of frozen vegetables because I feel like if I wanted to roast them or have them crispy, then I was limited on being able to do that, until something in my head was just like, hey, look up if you could make roasted Brussels sprouts and broccoli from frozen, and apparently you can. And honestly, it tastes really good. It's great because all of it is already pre-cut with the broccoli, and then with the Brussels sprouts, all you have to do is just put it in the oven. It actually comes out better as a whole Brussels sprout than it does of having to cut it in half. But if you think about the types of meals that you want ahead of time, you could then decide if you could get the bag frozen or if you have to get a fresh batch of it, because not only are you saving money on not wasting it because you're not subjected to using it by a certain time, but you're also giving yourself more variety because now you have some that are fresh and to use those, and then now you have a frozen batch in the freezer waiting to be used when you want. The next thing, it is to shop for produce first. I think one thing when you shop in the produce before shopping in the processed aisles, when you're shopping in the produce aisle, I feel like you're much more intentional about what you're picking up and you're already setting your brain up for choosing healthier options, as opposed to if you're starting in the processed aisles, then you're just mainly picking up things that look good, that have certain wordings on it of it seeming like it has more nutrients, but you're also limiting the amount of nutrient-rich foods that you could get because you're getting more processed than you are of whole foods. And then I also feel like by the time you finish your shopping in the processed aisles, you're less likely of picking up a lot more items in the fresh produce section because the prices tend to be a little bit higher. But the way that I think about it is I see it as the healthier foods are a little bit more expensive because they're actually real food as opposed to processed food, which to me I feel like is more of like food-like products and not really food itself, because anytime you eat those type of foods, you're going to be hungry hungry again because you're not getting the nutrients that you need, as opposed to if you're going in the produce section and you're prioritizing getting real whole foods, those foods will actually fill you up. And one rule that I do have when it comes to shopping in produce to make sure that I'm not overspending is anything on the Dirty Dozen, I stick to getting those organic. Anything on a Clean 15, I get regular. Like you also don't need to get everything organic. It is not necessary. I feel like if that's something that your body needs, then fine, do you. But to me, what I've also learned of just making sure that I am not overdoing it on my grocery bill is if it's on the Dirty Dozen, I will get those organic. And anything that's not on the Dirty Dozen, and especially if they're on the Clean 15, I just get those regular. I do not get those organic because it's just, to me, not needed. And this last one, I created this term, and it is to focus on the Fantastic Four. So what I mean by the Fantastic Four is protein, fiber, fats, and probiotic foods. Those are like the four main things that I focus on when it comes to grocery shopping, and anything extra then is just like a bonus. But when it comes to grocery shopping, like one way of just reducing the overwhelm is think of like 3 to 4 different types of protein that you are okay with eating often, then deciding 2 to 3 different types of meals to make with that. When it comes to fiber, I now get like a bag of frozen vegetables. I don't really get them fresh anymore just because I get annoyed with having to use them by a certain time. And when I don't use it, then it ends up spoiling. So I've just now gotten those frozen, and it's been 10 times easier of me being able to have more variety without forcing myself to eat something before it expires. When it comes to my seafood, I like getting wild-caught salmon and wild-caught cod and wild-caught shrimp. I don't get any farm-raised. I mainly stick to wild-caught just because farm-raised has its own issues that I'm not going to get into much of this video. I just know that I prefer getting wild-caught because I know it is much more healthier than getting farm-raised. So one good thing when it comes to these Fantastic Four items is that some of them actually go into 2 categories. So like for chia seeds is good for fiber, but it's also considered a healthy fat. Salmon is really good of a protein, but it is also really good of a healthy fat. So a lot of these things is like, there's so many types of information of getting healthy fats, getting high protein, making sure you're taking care of your gut health, when really sometimes it's like some of the food that you're already eating already has those types of nutrients in it, and you don't really have to worry about like not having those nutrients at all. It's just thinking of like, oh, what other foods do I like, or what other foods can I incorporate that I'll enjoy that also has more of those type of nutrients. One thing that I've learned is that instead of trying to pinpoint every single type of nutrient and making sure you're getting every type of nutrient, one thing to just do is look at the foods that you're already eating and then see what nutrients those are already providing, and then whatever nutrients are low on the list of what you're possibly not getting enough of, then look at what's on that list of things that you could potentially eat. For me, I didn't really have a lot of gut health foods in my diet, and so one thing that I just started doing was looking at yogurt to get, but also just getting the plain yogurt instead of the one with all of the fruits and stuff in it, because those have added sugar to it, and then now it basically discounts and goes against the actual reason for the yogurt because now you're just having a lot of sugar. So when it comes to reducing overwhelm, when it comes to food shopping, one thing is just sticking in the produce section first, deciding what kind of meals you want to have before you go food shopping, or just instead of looking at the front of the labels when it comes to the processed food section, just look at the ingredients. I don't look at the front of the label anymore, no matter how many times it says high protein, high fiber, 17 grams of protein, 17 grams of fiber. Just look at the ingredients in it. Look at how much sugar is in it. When it comes to the processed foods that you're getting, look at what kind of oil is being used in the processed foods that you're getting, how much of different types of oils are in the processed foods that you're getting, and then go from there of picking up a healthier option. When it comes to being overwhelmed with what to pick up and what to get, it's mainly because a lot of these food companies prey on the fact of just having like these go-to words of plant-based, vegan, keto, and then you're wondering if this is a healthier option. Instead, when it comes to looking for plant-based or looking for keto or looking for protein, get those in whole food forms, and then anything else of a snack that you may want, or just like a quick bite to eat that you may want, look at the ingredients in those. One thing that has helped me is not using the processed foods for those like quick nutrients, but instead looking at what whole foods I could get and get the nutrients from there first, and then have the processed food as a backup.